what are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz is us. Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome back to Closing the Gap, Truth About Black Wealth. Of course, I'm the host, Mr. Wilbur Hamilton, founder of Hamilton Wealth Advisors here. Today we got a very special guest. It's my partner from way back in the day, back from Montgomery, Alabama. We came up together, seen each other grow. I've seen this gentleman, work hard, build himself up, become an entrepreneur in many different areas and facets, but then turned into a thriving entrepreneur here in the Birmingham metro area with a growing fashion and sneaker business that's really taking things to the next level, doing amazing work in the community as well. So I'm grateful to have my partner Ace in the building with me today. So of course you can see it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to tone it down and we're going to liven it up a little bit. Of course, we switching it up with the attire in the fashion game in honor of my partner. So we got some sneaks in the building. We'll give y'all a little look at my personal collection because I do that too. But just want to kind of dive right in, man, and jump into, what inspired you to get into the entrepreneur business, to get into the fashion game, and really, what's your passion? What motivates you to do that, man?
Before we get into that, I want to make a statement. I didn't know that all of this heat was going to be on the table. And for people who don't know this guy, he's been this way ever since I've known him. He's always had sneakers. So you see him in great suits all the time, but please know that he doesn't slack at all when it comes to the industry of footwear and apparel. So,
well, I appreciate it, man. I've been doing a little something, man. I learn from the best of them. So I just, I try to do what I do in a few different ways. But, man, I'm grateful to have you, though, brother. I'm grateful for you taking some time out your day, man. And just, I'm appreciative and always ecstatic to see, brothers come from where we come from, doing what we doing it the right way, building, giving back. But just looking to take things to the next level, man.
That's real. And I mean, to speak on what you were asking, though, it's like the entrepreneurship road, it really wasn't like, I want to be my own business owner. Yeah. I want to do my own thing. It was really like just being in these positions where you're dealing with other people and you're working for other people and they're making decisions for you that you don't really want to make for yourself and for your team. Man, I was like in a management position and doing work and I'm giving information to my team that I built myself that I didn't really agree with. And it's like, I started to realize really early, I was probably 19, 20 years old, like, man, if I'm not making these decisions myself and I'm not like willing to stand on my own decisions that I'm making for my team, I really don't want to do it. And it kind of pushed me out of working any other job just because I had these responsibilities to myself where it's like, if we're not going down the way that I see us going down, then I'm really not trying to go down, especially not for something that you say that I don't really agree with, So that was just kind of how it started, man. And I just realized over the years that I always wanted to be the person accepting the responsibility, whether it was good or bad. Like, I can't even sit here and be like, I've made great decisions all the time for everybody. I've made plenty of mistakes. But I'm owning my mistakes, though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's way more important than me saying, I made a mistake because of this person directing me.
You can live with it.
Yeah, I can live with it way more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my mistake that I made, and at least I was working on my own knowledge and the wisdom that I gained from somebody else or something like that. It wasn't like me going down this dummy road where I knew we wasn't going to be right, but I had to do it to keep my checks.
Yeah.
So, man, I learned earlier. Like, it just kind of pushed me into that position. So,
man, you know what? I'm glad that you said it because I'm the same way. Obviously,
for sure.
We have similar past backgrounds as far as where we come from, growing up, all that kind of deal. But we talked about that. I want to say in like a previous episode. So for me, what I relate that to is you got to find your passion.
For sure.
Like, your passion will allow you to keep pushing even when things are not going right. Like, you have a passion to help, to build, to grow. You have a vision on where you want to go, and regardless of what's going on, good, bad, and different, you still wake up every day and keep moving forward. You can live with your mistakes because you're making the mistakes trying to make the best decision, but you're learning from them and can continue to push forward. So, that's always my message to people in general, and So people ask, like, man, what's closing the gap? You know, how do we close the gap in the African American community? I'm like, well, it starts with, you got to trust yourself.
Right.
You got to believe in yourself. You got to find your passion and, you know, what you believe in, because if you do that, then the work naturally happens.
For sure.
You know, for most people, they have struggles finding the passion and the work ethic to be successful because they haven't found their lane.
For sure.
They don't have a vision. Like, you were in it, you were grinding, you were working. You're like, man, I have a, you know, you start having a passion for the fashion industry,
right,
or the sneaker industry, and you allow that passion to manifest itself, and that passion pushes you to go to work even when you don't feel like going to work. So when you make those mistakes, it's easy to bounce back because you're operating in your gift.
For sure. I think something that's important to kind of point out, and for anybody that's listening, that's kind of in this same situation, for me, it was really, I had another business before I did what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. We made great money with the business. And what I just realized is, I don't really like taking responsibility for your mistakes and what you're doing, and I don't really know you and all of these things, right? So then I'm not even a fashion guy. People don't know that. I have my own particular style and I have my own taste for things. Mm-hmm. I'm a sneaker guy. Yeah. And I had to learn very, very quickly that in order to have sneakers, you have to have apparel, and the levels that you have in this entity dictates what type of product you get. You know, like it all depends on like what, you know, brands you carry as a store that are going to dictate what type of shoes you have. So like that's a whole process that I had to learn just, you know, from standing on the outside being like, oh man, I'm a sneaker guy, I want to have a sneaker shop. That's just the surface of it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many other layers to that, you know, people don't necessarily know. So the passion part of it was really like, man, I love sneakers. That's my first job at Kids Foot Locker. Like that's the first thing I ever did. How do I put myself in a position to be able to sell sneakers? And not just for me, but making sure my homeboys always had sneakers. And you know that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so that was kind of how that whole process started. But it's like when you're trying to navigate these footsteps and you're making these mistakes and you're falling over on things, like when you think to yourself, I don't really want to do nothing else, like that's the passion that you have to get. I'm not making it sound like it's super easy and simple. It's just like, man, more than half of my day I'm able to do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And the other part of it just comes with the mistakes that I made, and it's like it still sucks, but you got to kind of suck it up and deal with that.
Oh yeah, but the passion to take that step and to take that risk is what creates that freedom. For sure. So if you didn't take that step and you didn't have enough passion to follow your dream and follow your gift, you don't get that freedom to operate and move kind of the way you want to. And you know, that's what we've learned, because we love our freedom. You know, we're independent guys, we're A-type personalities, we want to build, we want to grow, we want to dictate. So in order to be able to dictate, you got to control your situation. For sure. Back in a minute. Welcome to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, where our goal is to change the financial landscape of the African American community by providing the best of the best in financial professionals to help close the gap on financial wellness, wealth creation, and wealth transference. We're continuing to expand and grow our reach and add qualified advisors to our team. Help us to teach our community how to create generational wealth. We're looking for passionate, selfless, and professional advisors that pride themselves in the core beliefs that education plus expertise leads to proper execution. So if you think this opportunity may be for you, ask yourself this question: what is your why? And if the answer is you want to be a professional successor advisor that makes a positive impact in the lives of all you come into contact with, contact us about joining our team today. As we look to move forward, continue to be a blessing to those who would never come into contact with by creating a successful financial plan today. Back with my man Ace, owner of Alchemy 213. Want to jump back into it, man, and tell me a little bit about the spot.
So, you know, it's crazy, man. I opened the store like literally from Bologna. Like I was living in Bologna at the time, and we were trying to determine where we wanted to do a store. And truth be told, we were gonna work in Atlanta, right? Like I had scouted the spot in Atlanta, the whole situation, and I was going to do buys. Like I had already had like Puma, like Asics. I had all these brands and stuff already, and I had no zoning issues. And then I get to deal with Off-White, and Off-White tells me, oh yeah, you know, in Atlanta, there's this guy, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I ain't heard this from nobody else, but at the same time, at this point, we didn't have Nike, we didn't have Adidas, so that's who they were on the radar for. So it was kind of like, all right, man, well, we don't even need to be in Atlanta with that situation, because a big part of what we do is like zoning. Like you can't be within, 80 miles or something like that, or it's really not that far, but it's typically one store per city. Unless you're in New York or Atlanta and you have, a couple of miles, 10, 15 miles apart from you, then, you can have another account there. But for us, it was like, we're never going to get what we want being in Atlanta. So that's what made me start having conversations with friends in Birmingham. Like, yo, could we have sustainability in Birmingham? And, we come to understand that we wouldn't have any zoning issues. So it's kind of like a free play for us to be able to just be here. So I came from Bologna in 2015 to open this store. And from there, it was just always been, how do we continue to drive ourselves in the community? How do we continue to service the customers with brands that they don't have? So we sell high-end streetwear, right? Like Saks is our competitor in a sense in Birmingham, Alabama. We work with brands that are positioned in top-tier accounts like across the country. So for example, Carhartt, people know Carhartt to come from Detroit. We do Carhartt whip that's produced in Germany. It's a sister company, so it's not even the same brand. So people come in the store like, yo, you guys got Carhartt and it costs $150. But this is actually like a progressive Carhartt. It's tailored in a completely different way. And, it's something that's completely different. There's 20 stores in the country to sell it. You just know the name, It's the same thing for Ralph Lauren. Like we're the boutique account for Ralph Lauren. So when people come in and they want to buy like top tier like Polo that you see on Polo Instagram, we're the only ones in Alabama right now that carry that product. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's kind of where we focus at, is like a high-end streetwear boutique that focuses on community.
I don't know if you understand how amazing that sounds, and I don't know if y'all understand how amazing that is, but one thing I caught was, first and foremost, the brother was in Bologna learning from the masters in the game. So, there's a lot of cats that's, in the sneaker business, in the apparel business, but they're in it from a surface level, very, baseline understanding of what it is. You've actually done the hand-to-hand research, ground level understanding, working your way up through it. And I guess I can relate from a business standpoint because I operate the same way. People ask me what my competitors are, and I'm like, well, nobody around here.
Yeah.
But in our community, we're not as familiar with those type of opportunities. We don't understand what you bring to the table a lot of ways. We see, a sneaker and apparel store, we think that, okay, well, you're just like everybody else.
Right.
Well, it's not until we actually go down and kind of educate them, because, for me, I didn't know at first. I didn't understand. Right. I've always been a sneakerhead, of course, but, understanding actually what goes into it. Why certain stores have this, why certain stores have that.
Right.
Why does, Atlanta have this product and New York has this, but Alabama never gets it.
Right.
It's because, we have to really support, but we have to know where to push the support. So it's important for our community to push the support here, because, right here, we got a brother that's competing with, Saks Fifth Avenue. This is not, somebody that's in competition, with Hibbie Sports or Foot Locker or Champs or things of that nature. It's not city gear, bro. This is high-end, A1, best of best. And you have someone who's done the homework, that knows the game backwards and forward, inside and out, bringing that information, but bringing it in a service format. Like you're a servant. Like, most people that are in business, they're in it for one reason only, is to make money. But of course, we all want to make money, but at the same time, you have a service and service heart for the community, to help to build and do those things. So, I think it's amazing, bro. And I've told you from day one, of course, because I've had a chance to watch you with a front row seat. And part of selfish habit to want to take advantage of, some of the exclusive sneaker drops that you can get your hands on to help out my collection. But still, it's amazing to see that and hear that, and we just, our community needs to know that. So now we're not big on, of course, marketing ourselves, branding ourselves, things of that nature, but I think it's important for us to do it because no one can support you without knowing actually what you do. That's one of the habits and things that I'm trying to break with myself and build and learn and grow. And you're doing amazing things that, we're definitely going to touch on, a little bit, and, the community needs to know.
I think something that's important for people to know is it's something that you point. Thank you for the great comments that you made. Though, like, I really appreciate that because you know me, and you know exactly what I'm on. So I really value your words when you speak to me, whether it's about financial wealth or even sneakers. Like I really take heed to it. But something that people need to know is that we are, from a price point perspective, competing with Saks, and from a limited product availability perspective, we compete with a Saks, or even, maybe not so much a Saks, maybe a Saks and Fifth Plaza is more of where we are, or Neiman. But it's like, people need to know that we can't compete with City Gear or Hibbett Sports. Man, they got, 200 stores, so like their brand is so huge that you can't even begin to scratch the surface in competing with that. So it made me understand that our way to sustainability is through community engagement. Like, that's what we really want to be able to do anyway. We want to partner with every brand that we possibly can and figure out how we can get them to support initiatives in our community. Because if we are servicing our community, then we don't even have to worry about whether or not we can sell shoes. When you want to buy shoes, you're going to think about us, hopefully, Like, and it's not a strategy, it's just really what we're trying to do. It's like utilizing this relationship to affect change in this community, and don't forget in the community who affected this change.
Well, I mean, what you talk about is exactly, why we're sitting here and why we're doing this podcast.
Right.
The whole thing is closing the gap. I mean, each one teach one, and being a blessing, to all the people we come in contact with, and you can say that in many different ways, but essentially we're doing the same thing collectively. We're all blessed to be a blessing in that, from that standpoint. And it's simple habits that we all have learned and we're taught growing up, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
For sure.
And that's what you're doing, in the community. But from a business standpoint, that's rare. Some of the companies are strictly bottom line focused. I mean, you talk City Gear, you talk, some of those other, companies and whatnot, and they're looking for profit. And they've put profit over people in a lot of different situations.
100%.
Where, what are those companies doing for our communities? We have all these initiatives now, Black Lives Matter, maybe, we all social justice initiatives. There's a lot of things going on in our community, in our country right now that we need help, we need assistance. We need to close the wealth gap. Well, how do we do that? Well, we need partnership from these big corporations. So what I'm looking at is, from a corporate standpoint, from a company standpoint, me being a business owner myself, is why are we continuing to support companies that are not supporting us when we got people that look like us that's doing great work, like my man here, that we can help take things to the next level?